Let's talk about AEW Dynamite from October the 8th, 2024, which had an 1 hour overlap with NXT between 9 and 10 o'clock. We'll see how that shakes out in the ratings when it comes to the Tuesday night scuffle. Not quite a war, but most definitely a scuffle. But let's talk about some news and notes. The first things first, SES Scoops has announced through WrestleTix that this episode of Dynamite from Spokane, Washington might be the lowest attendance for any Dynamite show ever. The announced attendance was 1,729 tickets distributed, which is not a sellout because the current setup was 2,474. So there was about 700 tickets remaining. And it felt like there was nobody in the building. It absolutely felt empty. There's this big lucha talking head on social media who decided he was going to go after Randy Orton because NXT had to move from the main arena to a smaller arena, saying that, oh, I thought Randy Orton was a draw. He's supposed to be some kind of big draw. He's supposed to be a star. It's like, well, it's just Randy, and he's wrestling a 20-year-old rookie. And he was pretty much the only thing announced for the show at that time. And it's NXT. And furthermore, and nobody even noticed this, Raw was in St. Louis the day before NXT. I think I said that already. So, yeah, there was a lot of things counting against Randy Orton. But on this show, you had Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, and Mercedes Moné, and a bunch of other people we were told were the next stars of the business in Danielson's hometown, and he's wrestling in the main event. Less than 2,000 people. Look, if your attendance is this poor, I can almost guarantee your merchandise is extremely poor. So he needs to be on his hands and knees. I'm talking about Tony Khan now. Thanking David Zaslav every day for keeping this thing afloat. Because there's no way you could continue running this company. Less than two. Like, these are TNA numbers that you're talking about here. Like, this is TNA area that we're talking about right now. When you get down to the 2,000 people in attendance, you're not just in NXT territory, you're in TNA territory. Now, if you get down to like the 700s, you're in NWA territory. All right, but you're right up there now with a big, one of the mid-scale NXT shows and with a mid-level MLW show. And you spend a lot more money on talent. You should be ashamed of yourself. All right, the next thing is AEW put out a statement that a lot of people made a big deal out of, so I'm going to make a big deal out of it too, but it doesn't say anything that we don't already know. So they filed in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania a statement noting that Beatnik Investments, LLC, is the parent corporation for All Elite Wrestling, and that no publicly held corporation owns 10% or more of its stock. In other words, they're telling everybody, hey, Warner Brothers Discovery does not own more than 10% of this stock. So that's at least 9. We could say 9, maybe 9.75, maybe 9.99% of this stock. So basically they're admitting now that Warner Brothers Discovery has some stake in AEW, but it's not going to be as big as maybe what I thought. I thought it may have been in the 30% range, but it's all the way down to about 9%, which is still not bad. It also continues to tell us that why they weren't going to go anywhere in the first place, why they were never in any danger of getting canceled in the first place. But Beatnik Industries apparently was also involved with a Black News Channel, which was a big old debacle that Shad Khan was in the middle of. I don't want to spend too much time on that non-wrestling stuff, but for all of the wrestling fans who attacked Vince McMahon for all of his failures, like, the XFL or ICO Pro or the World Bodybuilding Federation or whatever, maybe you ought to take another look at the Khan family and all of the failures that they've participated in and all the lawsuits they've had shot against them as well for their companies in gender issues and race issues and all kinds of other issues. But I'm not here to go into that stuff. I don't believe in doing that sort of thing, but it's just something that's worth talking about, I guess. If you really care about billionaires mistreating people, then why do the Khans get away with it? People complain that the Jacksonville Jaguars are one of the worst teams in the NFL. I think their soccer team was one of the worst teams in the world too. And there's a real big issue there with their management skills. But hey, it is what it is. They became billionaires and they can do whatever they want. They can buy whatever they want and run it into the ground. Go do you, boo. Jeff Jarrett was on commentary for this show, but I really couldn't tell whether he was good or bad. He was just kind of present. Now I'm going to try to hit some of the high notes for the promos, and then we'll do a Wrestle Dream prediction. How about that? Okay. So Moxley says that Danielson has been trying to take himself out, but he doesn't have the constitution to do it. He doesn't believe anybody else has the constitution to do it, so it has to be him. And that what Danielson has been doing is beautiful because it's doing what he wants to do, it's doing what he's always done. But he's going to put Danielson in a corner. He's going to push him. He's going to pressure him. And that's something Danielson has never been comfortable doing. He's never been comfortable pushing to the corner. He's going to have to embrace his dark side. And there's not enough people in Washington to stop him, and the people that he's bringing with him. For whom should we fear? Then he says that one day Danielson will understand what he has to do. But right now the stakes are too high. Danielson mentioned that Claudio has been doing interviews saying that this is going to be his last Dynamite. He said it will not be, and that him and Wheeler Yuta are going to walk through Pac and Claudio. And then, of course, in the main event, that's exactly what they did. I barely watched this main event. It was so boring. It was super boring. Danielson and Wheeler Yuta defeat Pac and Claudio Castagnoli. I can't believe a match that had Bryan Danielson and Claudio in it and Pac was as bad as this match was. And I'm not saying that it was technically bad. I'm just saying it was boring. All right? As in not interesting. As in not exciting. As in nothing about it grabbed me or gripped me or made me interested in watching one more second of it. I did not care. After the match, Danielson made Pac submit. Who cares? After the match, Danielson and Moxley brawled around the ring while Marina Shafir beat up Wheeler Yuta. Claudio then hit Wheeler Yuta in the gut with a hammer. He hit him in the gut 3 times with the hammer. And then Danielson had to come back and save him. So there's that. No, this not working for me, dog. Danielson and Moxley could be very, very interesting. The dissolution of the Blackpool Combat Club could be very, very interesting. But this is not interesting. Claudio, I mean, not Claudio, but he always has been not interesting, if we're being honest. The issue here is that Moxley is cutting these Bray Wyatt promos that's making you think that there's some bigger picture, there's some other thing that you're supposed to be paying attention to. Somebody else is coming, he's bringing other people with him. And it's cryptic and weird. It's a departure from his usually direct promo style, but he still gets the message over, which is that he's going to destroy and eat Danielson's bones or some nonsense. So fine, but I'm not interested in this match, and I should be, because these are 2 of the biggest stars in AEW, and I just don't find them all that interesting. one of their top factions is imploding and nobody cares. That's a problem. You got to fix that. So in the ring was a Darby Brody King promo in which the subject was, how much do you love AEW? Which I'm sick of hearing about. I don't care how much people love AEW. Anyway, Brody King says that Darby Allin doesn't love AEW because he wants to go climb mountains. How can you be the face of the company and you willing to have yourself taken out? And Darby Allin's like, hey, I got you a job. You wouldn't be here without me. Okay. So then he says, oh, you want my spot? Come take it. And then Brody King moves in on him. He hits him in the face with a rock, like a brick to the mouth. Like, where did that come from? I didn't see a rock or anything in the ring. Like, were they outside and teleported inside? Where did that rock come from? But it busts Brody King in the mouth. Apparently, Brody King is the guy who answers the open challenge for Darby Allin. So they tried to put some heat on it. And I'm not going to take a shot at them for trying to put some heat on a match. But it felt microwaved, and I'm tired of hearing about how these guys love AEW. I'm very, very tired of hearing about that. It's been 5 years of that shit. I'm tired of hearing about how much people love AEW. I'm tired of hearing about how much people should appreciate AEW. My God. It's so boring. That's a boring storyline, bro. Who cares? Moving on. Lance Archer has been traded to Don Callis for 3 unknown draft picks to be named later. And it turns out that these draft picks are the Beast Mortos, Rush, and Dralistico. Which, okay, but I didn't know that these 3 guys worked for Don Callis. I didn't know they worked for Don Callis. I never saw Rush and Don Callis in the same place. So when they said that Don Callis was going to buy Lance Archer's contract, or they were going to do some kind of talent exchange, okay, but I was figuring, like, is it going to be like Kyle Fletcher or what? Like, what's going to happen here? And it's Rush, Dralistico, and the Beast Mortos. Like, did these people work for Don Callis? I don't remember ever seeing these people work for Don Callis. What? Am I retarded? What's happening here? Anyway, the first match on the show was Hologram versus Commander, which was, it was botchy. 2 very young luchadors. They did a lot of crazy shit. They botched some of it. Some of it didn't look very good. At one point, they were doing a bunch of duck and dive behind yous, and Hologram was staring in one direction and was acting like he couldn't realize that Commander was behind him. It's like he couldn't be anywhere else. Like he was standing in front of him, like a video game. He was standing in front of him, and then I think Commander maybe drop kicked him in the back or kick flipped off his back. And he was like, oh, you're behind me. Like, where else could he be? You have like a full field of vision and he's not there. Where else could he be? He's clearly behind you. I think they botched a couple of poison ranas and stuff. It was very weird. The big spot that they actually got off nicely was Commander running the ropes. He actually caught Hologram, who did like a springboard off the ropes, and they looked like he was going to try to do a Hurricane Rana off that spot. But instead, Commander just ended up getting power bombed by Hologram. That was the big spot of the match. Also, it was an amazing dive by Hologram into Commander, where he basically dug his head into his chest and ran them into the barricade. Hologram wins with the airplane bomb, which is basically an airplane spin into a power bomb. And then they got beat up by Mortos, Rush, and Dralistico. So there's that. Hologram, he's still undefeated. AEW fans are very excited about Hologram. I guess I have to be excited about something. Mark Briscoe says that Chris Jericho didn't have to push his buttons. Now he's going to hurt him. It's not even about the title anymore. Later, Chris Jericho walked up to Rocky Romero, who sucks, by the way, and basically lambasted him, made him feel small by saying, oh, they gave you a t-shirt and your face not even on the t-shirt, and they gave you the t-shirt a month after the group formed. I thought they were your friends. You should think about that. I'm like, why would you care about Rocky Romero? Please, nobody cares about that guy. Next, Daniel Garcia came out there and said that he's staying with AEW. That did not need time. We didn't need to know about this. You could have put a press release out. You could have tweeted this out. You could have put this on Instagram. You could have done anything else. You didn't have to eat up TV time to tell us you're staying with AEW. Nobody did anything. He did not get attacked. He did not build up a feud with anybody. There was nothing that happened during this segment. Just, I'm the best professional wrestler, and I'm going to stay with the best professional. Like, shut your ass up. Moving on, Mercedes Moné said that she respects Emi Sakura because Emi Sakura has been wrestling longer than Mercedes Moné has been alive. Then she proceeds to go out there and have a terrible match. Emi Sakura versus Mercedes Moné was the shits. And Mercedes Moné, of course, won by submission. Who cares, really? Britt Baker was supposed to wrestle on this show, then she got hurt. She said she was injured, so they took her out, and they replaced her with a fatal four-way match, and Willow Nightingale defeated Saraya, Nyla Rose, and Jamie Hayter. I invoked my Nyla Rose rule, therefore I did not watch this match, but I did see Penelope Ford made a return and attacked Jamie Hayter. So Jamie Hayter, who is dressing like Austin Powers for some reason, she's not in the title picture, but Willow Nightingale is. So Willow was great. She goes up, and Mariah May was doing commentary. I don't know what she was talking about. Don't care. And they faced off with Mariah throwing a headbutt, and Willow fell down like it was she collapsed like a video game character. And then she got whipped by Mariah's belt, like her literal world championship. Later, Willow tackled her, said she beat 3 world champions tonight. She's going to make Mariah May the 4th. And I desperately want Willow Nightingale to ruin my credit. Very, very desperately. Jay White defeat some kind of jabroni. Who cares? Juice Robinson is still there. My goodness. I'm not... What can be said about Juice Robinson that I haven't already said? He is the silliest, the fakest, most gimmicked up dude in the entire company. He's awful. He's the shits. Jay White cut a promo saying that Hangman Page is one of the 2 wrongs that he had to correct on his path to becoming world champion. And he said he doesn't imagine that Hangman Page is going to be quiet about him meddling in his business. Therefore, that is good for the Switchblade. So he wants to fight Hangman Page. And he's not going to be hard to find. Okay, Jay White versus Hangman Page. Not a big fan of that, but fine. It's something, I guess. And since Jay White is a very talented young man, they haven't quite found the place for him. And Hangman Page is somebody they insist on pushing. I don't hate Hangman. I just don't really find him to be as great as everybody else thinks. So it ought to be fun at least. I wonder if it's actually going to make the Wrestle Dream card. We'll see. Hook is backstage pacing, saying he's tired of looking for you, whoever you are, who attacked my father. Make yourself known. And then Kip Sabian showed up. He bumped into Kip Sabian. Kip Sabian didn't know anything about Taz and his bad knees or bad hips or whatever it was. And so he let him live. And then Christian showed up. Christian says, hey, we're both family men. I recently lost Killswitch to an unfortunate illness, so I can sympathize with you about the loss of your dad. I'm like, the loss of his dad? The loss of Killswitch? These people are not dead. These people are alive. They might be sick, going through surgery, but they're alive. They're living people. They're still alive. Whatever. Christian and Hook, not interested. I just not interested. You got to work a little bit harder to get me to care about this stuff. I really don't care. Oh, I forgot to mention when Mercedes wrestled Emi Sakura that Camille was getting beat up in that match by that potato with arms and legs. Not to mention, Camille got beat up by Chris Statlander. I thought Chris Statlander was a heel. See, this thing is becoming like a mixture of Rampage and Collision storylines, and they're not showing you, like, unless I missed it, they're not showing you how we got here. Like, I don't understand how Chris Statlander is a babyface or why she's involved with Mercedes Moné and Camille. I don't look Camille versus Chris Statlander as a standalone story is great. You know, two tall, talented women. They can mix it up. It could be very good. But why? Why is this happening? Why is Statlander a babyface? I don't understand this. And maybe just one video package could have helped show me what happened. And I'm pretty sure it's some religion. I'm gonna say religion. A rampage. That's what it's called, a religion. Rampage collision shit that I didn't watch. Next, Private Party cut a promo. Stokely Hathaway, or whatever his name is, the little bald dude who doesn't do anything but trash talk. He literally doesn't manage anybody anymore, apparently. He wants to be the manager of Private Party. They said, nope, you ain't been shooting with us in the gym. We don't want anything to do with you. We've been here for 5 years. And they actually cut a good promo here. Talked about how desperate they are to win the tag team championships. They're desperate to move forward in their careers. And that they want that top spot. They want the Young Buck spot. And once they win the titles, it's going to be a party everybody's invited to. I like this promo. I thought this promo was very good between these guys. And this is what I want to see. Unfortunately, I'm still saying to myself, you got your hand smashed by Moxley. That was 2 weeks ago. Why did you, get your hand busted and then all of a sudden you just I don't want to mess with that guy no more, and then just move on to this? I hope they win the tag team titles. I hope they do. Because Private Party really need it. Now, we only know that they probably only be winning these titles because somebody mentioned that they were in the same spot for 5 years. And the Young Bucks are absolutely killing the ratings. And there's zero interest in them. So putting the belts on Private Party is the best option you got. Because everybody else sucks. I mean, they kind of suck too, but at least they could bring a different energy. I like this side of Private Party. If they're going to be like this as the champions, I like it. On the other hand, you have Top Flight. Now, I can see Top Flight as maybe being the heel team, while Private Party is the babyface team, and them two teams working together. I like this idea. Action Andretti is upset. He's very fired up. But Dante Martin says that he's all go, no thinking. And they're very frustrated, thinking they're better than all the other teams in the tag team division. Layla Gray talked. And I can't tell you when the last time I heard her voice. That's a beautiful girl, man. But I haven't heard her voice in a really long time, if we be honest. Jack Perry said that Shibata has a turkey leg in his trunks. I was like, man, I never heard a guy glaze another guy like that. Look at your trunks. Got a whole turkey leg in it. That's sexual harassment, by the way. If this was a man, talking about a woman and, what she got in her tights or whatever, we never hear the end of it. But because, Jack Perry is talking about the junk of Shibata, it's all good. Look, take this weird fetish shit somewhere else, all right? It don't get no play over here. I don't get into the fetish wrestling. All right. So the Ospreay Takeshita Ricochet story is that Don Callis sent Konosuke Takeshita to attack Will Ospreay. That's what this whole promo was about. With Ospreay asking Don Callis if he did it, only to get Don Callis to admit that he did. Don Callis admitted that he did out of frustration to show Will Ospreay who makes the decisions in the Don Callis family. And in the margins I wrote, didn't he leave that family 2 months ago? He's been out of the Don Callis family for 2 months. In any event, Don Callis says that Will Ospreay was too mentally weak to deliver the tag team titles to him when he asked him 2 weeks ago. And he just wanted to show him, who makes the decisions. And Will Ospreay said he's the best wrestler in the world. And if you hadn't meddled, I'd have the world championship. If you hadn't meddled, you'd have the tag team titles. And I'm like, but you left the family 2 months ago. You left this faction 2 months ago. You're not in this faction anymore. Well, Ospreay said they're done. We're done, me and you. So Don Callis smacked him. And next Takeshita attacked Will Ospreay. And then Kyle Fletcher got in the ring and he was conflicted. He didn't know whose side he was going to be on. His best good friend Will Ospreay or his mentor Don Callis. Don Callis tries to give Kyle Fletcher the screwdriver, says, go murder Will Ospreay. He's like, no, I can't do it. Gives the screwdriver back because he couldn't murder somebody before. Now he's going to murder Will Ospreay. No, it's not, of course not. He's not going to do that. This is stupid. So Kyle Fletcher is incapable of murder, and Takeshita is not asked to murder anybody, despite the fact that he seems very willing to. The one person who seems like he actually would use the screwdriver is never actually given the screwdriver. And all of a sudden, this shit ends with Ricochet jumps in the ring and beats up on Takeshita. Who cares? I was blown away by the fact that they did a breakup of this angle when these people have already broken up. He peacefully left the Don Callis family weeks ago. Again, unless there's something that happened on Collision or Rampage that I missed. This was nonsense. This was a nonsense angle. Not needed. Not needed as an angle. Anyway, this show was very bad. It deserved the very low attendance because they offered you nothing. The Title Tuesday is what they called it. They called it Title Tuesday. And the only title on the line was Mercedes Moné's belts against Emi Sakura, which was dumb. And they put a Title Tuesday the same week they have a pay-per-view. It was an absolutely dreadful go-home show, as they really only built up 3 matches. The triple threat match, they put a lot of emphasis on that. Moxley and Danielson, and Darby and Brody King. Every other match is seemingly going to be thrown together at the last minute. And if you're not interested in those 3 matches, well, tough shit. Tough shit. All right, let's get into the Wrestle Dream preview. Wrestle Dream will air October the 12th at, it says 4 p.m., but I'm guessing that's Eastern time, so it'll be about 7 here in, in Pacific time. So it'll be about 7 here in Eastern. From the Tacoma Dome in Tacoma, Washington, the distributed ticket, 6,472. This is as of October the 8th. So the setup is 7,375. So less than 10,000, less than 8,000 are expected in the building. I don't think that that's a good number for AEW, but it's better than like 2 or 3 weeks of Dynamites. It's like, and that seems to be, as long as the pay-per-views draw, it seems like it's going to do okay. But AEW feels like they're in a lame duck session. Like, there's something missing. There's a big energy missing. They need a reboot, a shake-up, or something. If you're going to talk about all this money you're making and profitability and everything, you got to reboot the product. You got to do more. You got to help yourself. All right, so there's, as of right now, 9 matches ready for Wrestle Dream. 9. Only 3 of them have any real meat behind them, but 9. All right. Match 1, Atlantis Jr. versus Brian Cage for the ROH Television Championship. What? Atlantis Jr. versus Brian Cage. Look, now, if I wasn't Atlantis Jr., I know who this is, but come on. He hasn't even been on Dynamite. At least I think he may have wrestled Jericho. How long ago was that? That was months ago. It don't matter. Who cares? Atlantis Jr. is going to win because Brian Cage is a jobber. All right, this match does have some heat to it, I guess. Mark Briscoe versus Chris Jericho for the ROH World title. After what Jericho said about his brother, which is putting his brother over, but mentioning Jay and a feud with Mark probably is not a good idea. I would not have Mark lose the belt to Jericho. Jericho doesn't need the belt anyway. Jericho is just trying to get on the card. That's pretty much what it boils down to. Jericho needs a match on the card, so he'll do a job for Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe will somehow overcome all 3 of these people and win, because Jericho just wants to be on the show. Darby Allin versus Brody King. There's supposed to be an open challenge, but Brody King apparently has answered the open challenge. I don't think it matters who wins. Brody King kind of needs to win more. This is supposed to be for Darby Allin's spot. What is Darby Allin's spot? He claims to be the face of the company, but is he really? Like he's never in a main event spot, well, rarely. And if he is in that spot, he loses. So he's more like the mascot of AEW. He's more like, this is what AEW wants to be, but that didn't work when we tried doing that, which is young, indie, daredevil, death-defying, we don't give a fuck. Our talent can do whatever, go get hit by buses. And then they realize, oh shit, that doesn't work. So I don't know. Brody King is a big dude, talented guy, just underutilized. Why is he underutilized? I don't know. It doesn't matter if he wins. No. Is he going to win? Probably not. It's like this guy, he's not going anywhere fast. If they were going to push Brody King, I think they would have done it by now. I think this is just about to give Darby Allin a win because, look, he seemingly needs something to keep him going forward. And a good win over Brody King might actually help him. Jack Perry versus Table Leg Crotch. Look, I don't care about this, but I almost guarantee that a guy with a turkey leg in his crotch and his brain in backwards probably not going to be a TNT champion. So probably Jack Perry. Will Ospreay versus Ricochet versus Konosuke Takeshita for the international title. I really am interested in this because I can see Will Ospreay losing the title without losing the match, and Takeshita maybe being pinned by Ricochet or Ricochet pinning Takeshita. The question remains, when is Takeshita going to get his, I guess you could say. And he's a guy who's been overdue for a push. I personally want Konosuke Takeshita to win the title. I personally would have preferred Takeshita versus Will Ospreay one-on-one with Takeshita going over. I would have preferred that. But since it's a triple threat format, I would prefer if Takeshita defeated either Will Ospreay or Ricochet and won the title. So I'm going to go with Takeshita. I think Takeshita needs that belt. And you put it in a triple threat format, so you're trying to save the Ospreay Takeshita match and the Ricochet Takeshita match for other times. There'll be other pay-per-views. So put the belt on Takeshita now. Because you're doing this whole thing, even though it's kind of stupid, that the storyline is Will Ospreay leaving the Don Callis family because he'd already left it. Do your best you can. Put the belt on Takeshita. Let's build him. He's the guy that's going to be able to do something for you in the future. The Young Bucks, who just on the show because they have to be, versus Private Party. I want Private Party to win. Private Party need to win. Wrestle Dream, this needs to be a reboot. You need to bring some new energy into this product. The first thing you could do is put Takeshita over. The second thing you could do is put Private Party over. And if you book them correctly, you might get people interested in your tag division again, and you might get people interested in your mid card again. So I want to go Private Party. Next, Mariah May versus Willow Nightingale, AEW Women's World Title. Okay, so if you want to throw people a curveball and get energy behind your product, Willow Nightingale winning the title would certainly help. That being said, you invested a full year into Mariah May and Toni Storm or whatever, and you paid it off by Mariah May winning the title. And then you booked her into oblivion by not having anybody ready to face her after the fact. And so Mariah May has kind of been a lame duck champion since she won the belt. It's been contenders that aren't really contenders. And now somebody who legitimately is a contender and you legitimately can see her winning is put in this position. Even though Willow is kind of a loser because she loses a lot, but then again, she's a babyface. She's kind of a plucky babyface too. You could put Willow over here. You could. I wouldn't suggest it but you could. I would love it if Willow won the title. But the problem here is Toni Storm went on excursion immediately after losing the belt to Mariah May. And I think that was literally like 2 or 3 months ago. So Mariah May has been champion about 2 or 3 months. That's not long. And for the amount of time and energy that you invested in Mariah May, you should get a little bit more out of this. You know, you should be at least able to stretch this thing to December, you know. But if you want to put the belt on Willow now, great. If you just want to use this as a springboard to more matches between the two, that's probably the best option. And so I'm going to say Mariah May is going to win, but I, in my heart, want Willow to win. Singles match, Hangman Adam Page versus Jay White. They're fighting for nothing. Jay White. Let's just say, just roll the dice, flip a coin, Jay White. Who cares? AEW World Title, Moxley versus Danielson. Well, they told us that the next time Danielson lost, that was it for him. And with telling us that, I would think they would build it up a lot more if he was going to lose. Now, if you were going to beat him in his hometown, which AEW loathes to do, that would be tremendous heat to retire Danielson in his hometown. But if we know anything about like the Sting's career ending, they're probably going to try to end his career somewhere where he was a more known act. So it'd probably be like in the northeastern area, New York or Philadelphia or something. I don't think they'll end it in Tacoma, Washington. So I don't, and Moxley doesn't need to win. I think you need to reveal whatever the unseen hand of this storyline is or something, though. You got to do something to cover up Moxley losing. Because Moxley, unless he's going to win, which I don't think he needs to win, you got to do something to keep his storyline going. Otherwise, you've defanged him. And you defanged the entire Blackpool Combat Club heel turn for no reason. You know? So maybe booking this thing so close together was a bad idea. Maybe you should have gave yourself more time to really get Moxley's legs underneath him when it comes to this story. But it seems like they were not that interested in this story. So I'm going to go with Danielson winning. I just don't see Moxley winning it, and I don't think he needs it. So 9 matches. This show's going to be 12 hours. You're going to pack a lunch. But there ought to be some interesting stuff on here. Danielson is a good wrestler, obviously, so his match with Moxley ought to be good. The triple threat match for the international belt ought to be good. I'm very interested in Mariah May and Willow Nightingale. But the rest of the card, kabuts. Who cares? Let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace out.
No one does it better.